Okay, let's talk about it. The senior tech interview. It's kind of a beast, right? I mean, the rules feel like they're always changing, and the pressure is definitely on. But what if I told you there's a solid battle plan? Not just to get through it, but to actually nail it. Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down today.
So, let me ask you straight up, are you really ready for that next big interview? Because over the next few minutes, we are going to map out what it takes to walk in there feeling confident and walk out with that offer.
You know, this quote really says it all. It is what it is, so let's do the best we can with it. And that's the perfect mindset, right? The whole interview thing, it's its own game, its own skill. So instead of getting frustrated by it, let's just get smart. Let's learn the rules and play to win.
All right, let's get into it. First things first, we've got to pull back the curtain on this whole process. Before you even think about writing code, you need to get inside the interviewer's head. What are they really looking for? I'll give you a hint. It's not just about getting the right answer. Okay, now check this out. It really boils down to three main things they're sizing you up on. Of course, your technical chops are a huge piece of the pie, but they're also looking at your experience. And this is key, your communication and culture fit. Especially for a senior role, how you talk through a problem can be just as, if not more important than the final code itself.
And here's a big myth we need to bust right now. Stop trying to find some secret list of questions for Company X. It just doesn't work that way. Interviewers pick their own stuff, and honestly, the types of problems you'll see are pretty similar across all the big tech companies. It all comes down to having a rock-solid foundation.
So, if it's all about the fundamentals, what does that actually mean? What needs to be in your toolkit? Well, think of this next part as your training montage. These are the non-negotiable, gotta-know-'em cold CS concepts.
First up, the absolute bedrock, Big O notation. And look, this isn't just some dusty academic thing. It's the language of performance. It's how you actually talk about efficiency and prove that your slick solution is way better than the obvious, slow one. You have to speak this language fluently, no way around it. And here's exactly why it matters. The jump from, say, an O of n solution to an O of n squared, that's not just a small tweak. That's the difference between an app that feels snappy and one that makes users want to throw their phone against a wall. Spotting these patterns is step one to crushing the coding challenge.
All right, next up in your toolkit, data structures. You've got to know the classics, arrays, linked lists, trees, all that good stuff. But let me tell you, there's one you need to treat like your best friend, the hash table. Seriously, that nearly instant lookup time is like a superpower. It's the secret weapon for turning a slow, clunky solution into a fast, elegant one. When in doubt, seriously, just try a hash table.
Okay, so you've got the knowledge locked down. But how do you actually use it when you're on the spot with someone watching you and the clock is ticking? That's where you need a playbook, a step-by-step process you can fall back on for any problem they give you. Trust me, this is a total game changer.
And this is it, the 5-step attack plan. The most important rule? You have to follow these steps in order. Do not jump straight to coding. I'm serious. Always start by talking through the simple, even if it's slow, brute force solution. It proves you get the problem. Then you can move on to optimizing, explaining your better approach, and finally coding it up and testing it. This process screams, I'm a thoughtful, professional engineer.
So that's second step, optimize. That's where you really shine. But okay, how do you actually do that? How do you find that clever, faster solution when your brain is screaming, the clock is ticking?
Well, here are some pro tips. Listen for clues. Did the interviewer say the data's already sorted? That's not just a random detail, it's a massive hint. If you get stuck, don't just freeze up. Try working through a different example, a fresh one. And remember that classic trade-off between time and space? That usually means one thing. Use a hash table to store some info and speed up your lookups.
All right. Now for all my senior devs out there, listen up. The algorithm stuff, that's just the price of admission. That's table stakes. The system design interview, that is where you're going to prove your seniority. This is your chance to show you can think about the big picture, about architecture.
And you're probably going to get a question that sounds something like this one. It seems so simple, right? Design tiny URL. But oh man, it's a rabbit hole. It opens the door to talking about databases, scaling, caching, load balancing, the whole 9 yards. It's a test to see if you can think like a real architect. And just like with the coding problems, you can't just dive in and start drawing boxes. You need a process. And the number one, most critical step is the first one. Scope the problem. Ask clarifying questions. Don't assume anything. How many requests per second are we talking? Is it mostly reads or writes? The answers to these questions are going to shape your entire design.
Think of this as your vocabulary list for the system design round. You have to be comfortable talking about latency versus throughput, read-heavy versus write-heavy systems. The key here is that there's no single right answer. The interviewer wants to hear you talk about the trade-offs. That's it. That's the whole game at the senior level. Articulating and defending your trade-offs.
And this is a truth you've just got to internalize. There's no such thing as a perfect system. It doesn't exist. Every single design is a collection of trade-offs. Your job is simply to walk the interviewer through your thought process, to show them you understand those trade-offs, and to explain why you made the choices you did.
Okay, last but definitely not least, let's talk about the glue that holds all of this together: communication. You could be the smartest engineer in the world, with the most brilliant solution anyone's ever seen. But if you can't explain it clearly, it's like it never even happened. It's that important. So here's your communication checklist. Use that whiteboard. It's your partner in this conversation, not just a place to write code. When the interviewer asks a question, listen. Those questions are hints, they're lifelines. And when you do write code, think a step ahead. Could this function handle more general cases? That kind of thinking shows senior-level maturity.
So if you take one thing away from all this, let it be this. Being a good interview candidate is a totally separate skill from being a good engineer. They're related for sure, but they are not the same thing. Interviewing is a skill you have to practice, and the good news is, it's a skill that anyone can learn.
So you've got the battle plan now. You know the strategy. The only question left is, what's your first move? What's the first topic you're going to absolutely nail? Because your prep for that next big role, it starts right now.